Well, welcome back to chapter 31 in Genesis. Just let me take this off. And chapter 31 in Genesis. The summary is the Lord commands Jacob to return to Canaan, and Jacob departs secretly. Laban pursues him. They resolve their differences and make a covenant of peace. Laban blesses his descendants, and he had Jacob part company. He and Jacob parts company. Oh, see if I can move this over. I don't think it matters. So, and he heard the words of Laban's son saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all this glory. And 2. And Jacob beheld the countenance, countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before. So he's saying, wow, he's angry. Something's going on here. um, and the Lord said unto Jacob, return unto the land of thy fathers and to the kindred, and I will be with thee. And in 4, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but God of my father hath been with me. So what he's saying is, he can see a different change in his attitude, and he's not feeling safe anymore. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father. So he's like, you know, could you imagine and you've probably done this before. Why is this person being mean to me? I've done everything they asked of me. I don't understand why they're being rude or mean or whatever. And you've just done, that's what he's saying. Um, and with all my power I have served your father. And verse 7, and your father hath deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. So he's changing his wages. He's just doing all kinds. He's not someone that you would want as a father-in-law. I mean, first he imposes the second wife on him, for the first wife on him instead of giving it to him. Then he says you have to work another 7 years. But of course he agrees to it over and over. And I think if he just would have said whatever, I think that he would have been desperate enough to marry his wives off, that he wouldn't have been so pushy. I really don't think so, because he already had one daughter that was not getting married, and he needed her to get married. I mean, I really think that he could have made a deal with them. Like, no, I'm marrying Rachel, and after I marry Rachel, 7 years, I'll marry the other one. But I think he just didn't think of it bargaining, and it could have worked, but probably, and if he would have called his bluff, and 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 verse 8, if he said thus, the speckled shall be thy wages, then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, the ring straight shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle ring straight. Verse 9, God hath taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. So what's happening is God is actually making those calves turn out um, the way that Jacob, you know, is going to get them. So he's saying, okay, I'll take these ones, not those ones. And whatever Jacob says is going to be his, then God has made him have more. So he's giving him all these cattle. I mean, instead of giving them to her dad and having them, him have more of them. So what's happening is the cattle are bearing more that are ring striped and speckled and gristled. So instead of just one color mainly, that's funny. So God's like, oh, so if you want him to have all this kind, then that's what I'm going to have them bear. So you can plainly see God is he's making a statement. In verse 11, and the angel of God spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, here I am, here am I. In verse 12, and he said, lift up now thine eyes and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled, for I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. And 13, I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowedest a vow unto me. Now arise and get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. God, it sounds like he's had enough of this guy. And he's like, Jacob, let's go. And maybe, as long as Jacob didn't, I don't know how he complained, but he seemed to not, I guess we don't really hear of it before this. But now that he's complaining and saying, oh, no, now God is stepping it up and go, no, we don't want you here. Let's get you out. And so it's kind of neat. He's saying, I'll back you up. I want you to, let's get you out. I'll back you up. You said you want to go. You made that verbal thing, and let's get you out. And verse 14, and Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, is there yet any portion of our inheritance for us in our father's house? So there was a bride, there's a bride fee, and he has completely spent their bride fee, right? Because the bride fee was when Jacob worked 7 years for each one of them. So whatever Jacob had accumulated in animals or whatever in pay from Laban has squandered away. And so that was for the women if, he died or something happened. It was their backup plan. And their father has spent their backup plan. And because that's what he paid them for, So it's interesting. So I guess when you pay, that stays with the wife, or if some kind of divorce did happen, it would go with them if they needed to go back. Something happened. They would have that fee to take care of them, those animals and all that, to sell them or whatever, but they don't have anything. And are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us and hath quite devoured also our money. So so Jacob buys them, right, with the work for 7 years, basically buys them kind of like, here's 7 cows, 10 cows, remember? And it was a big deal because, oh, he worked 7 years for me, 7 years of pay. That's a lot of money. And, but the father has spent it. He didn't, it's gone. So they just feel like they were sold for nothing. They entered that and nothing. And for all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours, and our children's now, and whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. So they're looking for their children's inheritance. They're just tired of it too. They're tired. And they probably figured it out. It's, maybe, I don't know if you see it this way, but probably it's likely that they're not ever going to have anything there. He just wants to work Jacob and receive the blessings of Jacob and have nothing for them. So he's just, and Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels. So he's taking his family, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting which he had gotten in Padam Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And 19, and Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. Now, some of the reasons she may have done that is she may have said, you spent all my stuff. I'm going to take these. Maybe I'm going to be able to sell them. She may have thought that. Or she may have thought she's going to sell them, or they could be emblems. Some say that They could be emblems of um, his authority. So you know how Rome will take a ring and they go like this, oh, that's your authority. Well, that could be his authority. So by having those, she could be saying, I am his son, and we're in this land. It could be protection as they travel. Who knows? But she takes them. And so it could be those reasons. Well, I'm going to take this authority with us to protect us, or I'm going to sell it, or maybe he believes in idols and she wants to take the idols from him so that he can't, whatever, maybe he could have sold those and had more to use against them. I don't know, but she takes them. Uh, and so in 20, and Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian in that he told him not, that he fled. So he just takes off. He doesn't even say he's going, which is interesting because, I mean, it's pretty noticeable if you grab that many people and livestock and you leave, unless he went in the morning or when he was away, when um, Laban was doing something else or something, heck, who knows. So in 21, so he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. In 22, and it was told Laban on the third day. So this must be a lot of land or something, right? Because Laban didn't find out till 3 days after he left. And he took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in the Mount Gilead, because he's traveling with a lot of people, and these guys are probably just traveling with guys and not herds and everything. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob, either good or bad. And 25, then Laban overtook Jacob. Now these men, they might not be godly, but sometimes they know for sure when God's talking to them, because he says, Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mount of Gilead. Now I wonder who's writing this. Is it someone from both camps? Because are they getting this from Jacob's journal? Or is this coming from Laban's journal? Or is it coming from the girl's journal? So where is this information coming from? Because God's not having a pen and writing things down. So, I wonder who's writing it, whose information this is. And then it can still be according to what they decide to write and their version of it. Or, everyone's not always around them, so it makes sense that some things might be missing. What I mean is that a lot more is going on, but it's not written here. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken with the sword? Really, they were supposed to go to his family anyway, right? They were just there. He was just there temporarily, right? Till he did this little service thing that he didn't have to agree to. He probably could have bargained, not just say, okay, I'll do it. And Laban probably would have been very desperate. He could have probably said 2 years. I'll be with her 2 years, and then I'll marry your other daughter 2 years. And if not, I'll divorce this one or something. He could have said something. Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth and with songs? Like he's going, why didn't you tell me you were going to leave? We would have had a big going away party for you. Just think about this. He's done all this stuff to him, and now he's like, you should have told me. We would have had a big party. We just would have had a blast. We would have just sent you away with all this stuff. Really? That's why you chased after him, right? And hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing, right? And what he means by sons are grandsons. So see, you can see them when you see the scriptures. A lot of times they call someone their sons and stuff, but they're meaning grandsons or whatever. or sons, or if your kids bring friends over, you go, oh, my kids, oh, how's my daughter doing? It could be your niece. Um, I don't know, maybe I'm not talking loud enough, so I better get talking louder. It's the power of, okay, 29. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spake unto me yesterday night, saying, take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. You see him just talking out of two places of his mouth. He says, why did you go? I was going to have a great big party for you. And then he turns around and says, I was going to hurt you. I was going to hurt you, but God told me not to. So he's like speaking out two sides of his mouth. He says this and then he says this. And you could just imagine, have you been around people when they do that? You're just like, don't they even catch themselves doing it? Where is their brain? Sometimes you're thinking. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone in 30. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house. Yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said unto Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. And so they're on mutual ground now. Okay, so they're not at his tribal place where he's in charge and everyone will do whatever he wants. They're in the middle of the desert. They're on open ground. They're not where, okay, the rule of this land is what I say. It's not. They're not there. They're in an open spot. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. So these are could be his idols, right? What he's worshiping, and that could be, like we said, one reason she took them, because maybe she doesn't want her dad doing that, worshiping idols, or maybe she feels like he's much more confident at being bad when he has these. So, maybe that's why she took them to her. Okay. Okay. And she said too, let's see, 34. Now Rachel has taken the, verse 33. And Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the two maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. And 34. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. And in 29, and she said to her father, let it not displease my lord, that I cannot raise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. So she's basically saying, I can't get up right now because I'm on my period. So I can't get up. So that's interesting. So I don't know if they sit on things the whole time they're on their period or what, but she's clearly saying she can't get up because it's the female thing going on. And so he's not going to look under anything, and he probably doesn't want to touch her or anything, because remember, they have that cleansing thing when you have a period, or something. You have to do this cleansing thing. I don't know if they're doing it here, but they did have that. Remember? I don't know if you remember that a woman has to be cleansed. And some cultures still have that. You don't cook when you're on your period. You don't clean house. You don't cook food for anyone else. You can cook it for yourself, but you can't do any of that other stuff. So, and I have friends, I've known of people that have that, and they actually say, I'm really glad because I don't feel like doing that anyway when I'm on there. So they're pretty glad that their husbands believe in that. I don't know if they still do, but this was years ago. Some years ago, my friend told me about that. And And 35, and Jacob was wroth and chode with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, what is my trespass? What is my sin that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? And see, he doesn't have any idea that his wife stole those things. 37, whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Get here before my brethren and thy brethren and thy brethren, before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us both. 39, that which was torn of beast I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it, of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. So he's just calling them on things. Sounds like 40. Thus I was. In the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. 41. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle. And thou hast changed my wages 10 times. He's just a crook. Really. Sounds like that he's just a crook. And 42, except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen mine affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. 43. So he's really just Jacob is really just really speaking his mind with Laban now. So that's what you hear him saying, look, you did this to me, and you did. He's venting now. You did this, you cheated. You did this, and this, and this. And now you come here to do this again, more. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children with which they have borne? No, this man he sounds crazy, doesn't he? They're married, and that's who takes first precedence, is their husband. And now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for witness between me and thee. Verse 45, and Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. 46, and Jacob said unto his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones and made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. So what's interesting here, I think, is they've said they're going to make a covenant or something. And we can see that every time they're making a covenant, they want to eat. You know, they eat when they make a covenant. It seems like every time. And you remember when Esau got the blessing and everything, it was go get me a venison and let us eat and then make a covenant. And Laban called it Jagar Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galed. And 48, and Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Galed. And 49, and Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent from one from another. And you hear people say that a lot, don't you? May the Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another. I've heard that a lot. Even I think there's even a song, a church song like that. Verse 50. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives beside my daughters, no man is with us. No man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. So he's trying to say, well, you can't marry anyone else but my daughters. And because clearly they're doing polygamy. So he's saying you can't do that. And Laban said to Jacob, behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and thee. 52, this heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee. So it's boundaries. So they put up these boundaries. Okay, you can't, this is the boundary from my place to yours. So he's settling in this place. Sounds like Jacob is settling on this land, and he's going, you can't, I won't come over your territory, and you won't come over to mine. And Laban said to Jacob, behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and thee. In 52, verse 52, this heap be witness and this pillar be witness that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and the pillar unto me for harm. And you can trust him. 53, the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. 54, then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread and tarried all night in the mount. 55, and early in the morning Laban rose and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. And Laban departed and returned to his place. Thank goodness. Laban is finally gone. Well, so could you imagine his relief? Now, what do you think? You would trust Laban not to trust his boarders? Oh boy, Laban is really something, isn't he? But the daughters grew up with him, so they probably were like, yes, we're getting married, we're getting out of here. And then he kept them there. But and at the same time, he may have had in the back of his mind too, I want to watch over my daughters. Who knows? It could be a lot of stuff. But anyway, thanks for being here at 31, and I will see you in chapter 32. See you later.